Well, hello, my friends. Welcome back to another episode of Ask StreamYard. I am your host and your live streaming mentor, Melanie Diane Howe. You can just call me Mel if you're new here. If you're new around here, Murray's watching from Texas. Murray Montgomery. If that is not a Texas name, I haven't heard one. Really. Murray Montgomery. I love it. So we are going to be talking about answering questions while you're live in today's Ask StreamYard show. If you're new here, let's go through a few ground rules. So basically what this show is this is where we grab somebody's question in our community or post it on social media. Oftentimes they use the hashtag Ask StreamYard, and we feature the question on the show. And that's what we're doing today. This question was posted in our Facebook group, actually, which is why we're going to be talking about answering questions during your live stream videos on today's episode. So now this topic is what we're talking about, right? So asking questions, answering questions on your live stream. So if you have other support needs or anything else at all, do me a favor, go into our Facebook community, join the Facebook community. All you have to do is search StreamYard community and you will find it. So if you have a question about streaming or even about StreamYard that's unrelated to today's topic, go in there and ask a question. I guarantee within 30 minutes, you're going to have all kinds of amazing other helpful community members jumping in to support you and help get your question answered. So if you have a question unrelated to today's topic, that's where I want you to go. And it's free to join the community, of course. All you have to do is answer the questions. Now, the other thing I'll say is that oftentimes feature requests come up during the show. We love hearing your feature requests, just not necessarily in this particular show. It's always intriguing. However, if you want your feature requests or ideas to get to our development team and our strategists, then you need to go to StreamYard.com/contact. There's going to be a form there that you can fill your feature requests, and that's going to get it to the right people. If you want to comment about feature requests in this stream, go for it. But I am not going to be able to grab those and pass them along. That just is not really what I do. But if you want to get your feature request answered, that's all you have to do is go to StreamYard.com/contact, and you'll find the form now. Now, what's crazy, did anyone notice what happened today? I literally came in, I jumped in to go live. I was getting ready. I had my everything all set up and ready to go. And I literally was like, all right, it's time to go live. Oh, that's weird. In the studio, it says I'm supposed to go live at 12 p.m. Whoops. So Not sure what happened there. I actually think I know what happened. I believe I was on a different computer that for some reason is set at Central Time. And so when I set it for 11 a.m., it actually set it for 12 p.m. Eastern Time. So I literally had to kind of finagle my way around it at the last minute. And here we are. Now we're live at the normal time. So sorry about that. Hopefully it's not too confusing for you all, and we're okay. So, all right, let's see here. Okay, so Frank's Lonely Horse says, is there a number I can call StreamYard? I need help getting back on my account. What you need to do is contact our support team. So go email support@streamyard.com. They will definitely get you taken care of and get you all straightened away. So you should be good to go. So, all right, good. Liz Wool says that happens to me. Thank goodness I'm not the only one. What is cool about StreamYard is if you do need to make an edit to something like the time that it's scheduled, your stream is scheduled, you can easily edit that. It is a little bit quirky when it comes to LinkedIn events because LinkedIn doesn't let you change the event right there in StreamYard. So you have to basically cancel the event and then reschedule it again. So kind of tricky, one of those things, right? Now, real fast, before we jump into today's conversation about answering questions while you're live, is anyone going to Social Media Marketing World next week? StreamYard will be there. We are actually a sponsor of the event. We will be there. We will have a booth set up. Dana Benz is going to be there. Julie Riley is going to be there. I'm going to be there. All kinds of other people. We've got Joanne Watt that's going to be there. We also have Carly who's going to be there, who many of you don't know Carly. She's kind of a behind-the-scenes person. She helps with a lot of our events. And so we're all going to be there hanging out and talking StreamYard, and I cannot wait to go mingle around the event. We're also hosting a fun cocktail party Tuesday evening at 6:30 Pacific time. So if you are going to be at Social Media Marketing World next week, make sure that you find a way to come and say hello, and we would love to meet you and talk to you in person and hear all the things you love about StreamYard, and of course, answer any questions you might have while we're there. So we're really excited about it. Super, super, super. I just cannot wait. Dr. Hilo is here. Hello, Hilo. Are you going to be there, Dr. Hilo? Are you going to be there next week? It would be awesome to meet you in person, my friend. Okay, so let's get started here. We're going to be talking about answering questions during your live stream. So today's topic is very much because Abraham Walker. I got to scooch over. Abraham Walker posted this question in our group. He says, what's your strategy for answering viewer questions? Real time, after a segment break, or at the end of the show? Well, I love that Abraham threw those ideas out there because those are definitely some of the methods that you can use when it comes to answering questions while you're live. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So let's talk about a little bit about what this looks like. So questions come in the form of comments while you're live. But also, don't forget that questions also come before you're live. So especially if you're scheduling your live stream and you have it out there, whether any of the applications, people can comment on that scheduled post before you're live. Now, when it's a YouTube comment, and you go into your StreamYard studio, anybody that commented on that scheduled live video, that comment's going to show up in the StreamYard studio. Now, it used to be this way with Facebook as well. However, Facebook changed the way that scheduled live streams and actual live videos are. They're essentially two separate posts. And so anyone who comments on your scheduled post in Facebook, that comment isn't going to show up in your studio. So it's always a good idea to go and look at those scheduled posts before you go live so that you can see if there were questions posted ahead of time. So there can be questions posted ahead of your live stream, but there also can be, of course, questions posted during your live stream. We're mostly going to address that today. But then, of course, there could also be questions posted after you're live. So when you go live on these platforms, that live video is going to remain on the platform for people to watch the replay. Now, if you have comments turned on, and depending on where it is, and of course the privacy setting, people can comment on that live video after the fact. And so you definitely want to make sure that you're also addressing those questions as well, or comments after you are live. So there's the before the live, there's during the live, and there's after the live. So I just wanted to clarify that there are certainly 3 areas where you want to make sure you're paying attention to those questions and those comments. Now, for today's show, we're going to be talking about what to do with questions asked during your live stream, right? So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So that is today's topic. And as always, if you have questions about today's topic, you can absolutely ask those questions. Very meta. Again, we've had a few meta episodes lately. We had one about resetting the room, and I kept resetting the room while I was talking about resetting the room. If you all remember that one, was that last week? That might have been 2 weeks ago. But anyway, so if you have questions during today's live about answering questions on live videos, put those questions in the comments, put a Q in front of it. It helps me find your question in the midst of all the wonderful comments from people coming in so that we can do that. So if you have questions unrelated to today's topic, do me a favor, hop over to the Facebook group. That's where you can post your questions and we will definitely help you out. People will jump right in there and get you what you need. Or maybe I'll pick it for an upcoming episode and send you a t-shirt while we do that as well. So, okay, let me see here. Great question from Liz. I see your question. And then this is... it's Kashini. It's great to see you here live again in our show. I answer questions while live streaming at the end if there are any questions asked in the comments. Yes, that is certainly a method. We are going to be going through those various methods today for sure. So that's a great comment there. Now, Liz says, do the comments get saved in the studio when the live stream ends? Would be great to have access to these after the live stream. I have to be really honest with you. Oops, I'm a little bit, I need to scooch down there. Maybe I should go to cropped layout when I pull these up. I think I will. Okay, let me check this. I literally haven't done this in so long. I used to do a lot of post work in my studio after, but I don't so much anymore. So it used to be that, yes, it used to be that they were still in there, at least for a certain amount of time. I'm about to look though. I'm about to go into my own StreamYard team in my own accounts. I'm about to go to, let's see here. That was weird. Let's see. Past live streams. Enter studio. I'm looking. You're entering a broadcast studio. I feel like they are there. At least the Facebook ones, it appears. It looks like all the YouTube ones are not. So that is definitely the way that works. So it looks like the Facebook comments do stay in the studio, Liz, but the YouTube ones do go away from the studio. So that is definitely cool. It would be great to have access to these after the live stream. It is cool to have access to them. You can also, of course, as always, go to the actual post where you were. But it is nice. I will say it is nice. In the studio, it pulls, if you're multi-streaming, it pulls all questions from all platforms that you're streaming to, except for Twitter, of course, or any custom RTMP locations that you might be streaming to. But I know that right at the end of your stream, when you first end your stream, all the comments are still there. My guess is that they are still there for a certain amount of time. But then, the LinkedIn ones, the YouTube ones, they may go away. LinkedIn. So LinkedIn are not saved. Liz, I'll be honest with you. I don't multi-stream to LinkedIn. So that would be an interesting test for me to do. I don't know the answer to that. I wish I did know the exact answer. We can certainly look into it. This would be a great thing for you to ask our support team. They will be able to confirm. They will be able to confirm that for you. Now, I will say this. Right after your live is over, those comments are in there. So those comments are there. So if you want to do some work, some repurposing, gather those questions because, hey, questions asked while you're live are really great ideas for future content, whether it be blogs, podcasts, or videos. Because if they're asking the questions, clearly there's people out there that need the answers, and there are probably all kinds of people asking that question. So questions asked while you're live are absolutely great ideas when it comes to content. So that's probably what Liz is wanting to do here is gather those insights because it's information that is going to be helpful for her when it comes to planning her content. So, well, hello there, Theodore Slater. Hello, good to see you. We got Bangladesh in the house, and then we got all kinds of people. So that was a great question to kick us off. Now, if you have other questions, keep coming, keep them bringing, keep bringing them, keep them coming, keep them bringing, bring them on. That's what I say. Bring them on, right? There you go. We got all kinds of people joining us. Thanks for being here, Carinder. And of course, Anderson Cherry, it's good to see you too. So, okay, let's do this. Let's talk about the different ways that you can actually ask these questions. We got a lot of people that have just joined us. So we are talking about when is the best time to answer questions during your live stream. And so I've got some stuff prepared to go through these different methods. Now, again, questions come in before, during, and after your live videos. We are going to be talking about what to do with the questions that come while you're live. So the first easy thing to think about answering questions is answering them in real time. time. So what answering questions in real time means is as those questions are coming, you are literally talking to your audience and they are asking questions. And just like I said to Liz, I took her question and I absolutely grabbed her question and I answered it right away. That's me answering a question in real time. If someone were to post another question related to answering questions in real time, I might grab it right now. Now, if you have a small live audience, if you don't have a ton of live viewers watching you live, you may not get a lot of real-time questions, meaning a lot of questions as you're going through content. So, that is easy to manage, can be done very seamlessly. One thing I will say when it comes to answering questions in real time is that if you're not careful, it can absolutely derail you. It can distract you. It also can take you off topic. So answering questions in real time, I will say it's great to do. I personally prefer it. However, you do have to kind of understand that if you have 5 key points that you want to get to, and you're still on key point number 1, and people are going crazy asking all these questions, and you're talking to everybody in the comments, you still have to get to key point 2, 3, 4, and 5. And so it might require a little bit of discipline. It also might require you to be filtering those comments, those questions, because here's the thing that also happens is, what if somebody asks a question about something and it's like, ooh, I'm about to get to that. You maybe don't want to answer that question in real time because you haven't gotten to that element just yet. So, Mike, for example, is getting a little ahead of me. He made a comment about the pinned comments feature, the starred comments. Well, I'm definitely going to talk about that, right? So it's one of those things. How do you pin questions? There you go. So Rooftop Projects is asking that question too. So I literally am going to be talking about that today for sure. So we are going to get to that. But again, back to it. Answering your questions in real time, I do think is one of the best methods, but don't let a question or a comment that comes in break up your key message. So, for example, let's say you are talking about the 5 key ingredients that should be included in every salad dressing. I don't know where I come up with these ideas on the fly, but they just come flying out of my mouth. So 5 key ingredients. We're going to switch it up. We're going to change it because I don't like it. The 5 exercises everyone should do every single week, no matter what. How about that? We'll do that one, right? We should work on our abs. We should work on our legs. We should do some cardio. We should also do shoulders. And then lastly, we should work our chest. And then we should also work our arms, right? Whatever. I'm just making this stuff up. So my point is that let's say you're talking about, you're saying these are the 5 key things, and you're talking about the first one, which is, working on your abs, and you're talking about abs, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, Hannity's here. What's up, Hannity? It's good to see you. You literally just interrupted yourself with the comment. You can absolutely do this if you answer questions in real time as well. So as you're talking, make sure you can get through your key point, deliver your key message, explain what you need to explain, do the tutorial that you need to do, and then go to that real-time question. So real time is kind of real time, but kind of not real time. Right? So what I mean by that is don't literally be watching the comments coming in and reading them as they come in. That's definitely something I do not recommend you do, because think about your audience and you're constantly interrupting yourself because of these questions. You have to be very careful. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. The other thing is it does take a little bit of practice. It takes a little bit of practice to be able to watch those comments, maybe use the pinned feature, grab them, and then also address them when you're ready. So it's one of those things that you want to do. So also, the other thing to keep in mind are if you're going to answer questions in real time, sometimes the questions that get asked may not have anything to do with what you're talking about. So be cautious. Try to read a question or a comment before you actually click it to display it or say it out loud. That's definitely another thing when it comes to asking or answering questions in real time. So let's talk about another method you might do, which is kind of what I was alluding to, and that is answering questions in between segments. So what this means is that, let's say, for example, we're talking about those 5 key exercises. Maybe you're going to talk about them, but you're also going to literally demonstrate them on video, which you could do if you had one of these fancy OBS bot cameras like I got a couple weeks ago that literally follows you around, and it is so cool. Okay, totally got distracted by a squirrel. So this means that you're going to say, all right, key exercise number 1 would be doing some ab work. Let me show you 3 of my favorite ab exercises so that you know the proper way to exercise your abs, which you should be doing every single week. Then you might get up, you might switch your camera angle, and then you might do some demonstrations. Then you're going to come back and you might address questions about the ab exercises at that point. That's segment number 1 is over. Now you're ready to go to segment number 2, which is the second exercise. Now you're going to talk about working your legs. So you're going to say legs should also be worked out every single week. Many people often hate leg workouts, leg day, the dreaded leg day. Therefore, they don't do it. However, it's extremely important that you balance your body strength out. So you should do legs. Let me show you 4 of my favorite leg exercises that you can do without any weights at all or without any machines. You can do these right at home. And then you get up, you show the 4 different ones, and then you come back and you answer questions about legs. That is an example of answering questions in between segments. Now, the other type of show, depending on what your show is and what it's about, segments could come in the form of introduction, deliver some content, then answer questions, and then go into like bonus content. Or if you have an interview, if you have a guest coming on the show, segments could look like introduction, talk about your guest, and then have your guest come on. You interview the guest, and then you go into, questions, and then you go into a follow-up. You can even break up that interview into segments as well. So segments can look like all kinds of things. A lot of church services, for example, have different there's a different agenda that goes with their sermons that they are live broadcasting. So there might be a welcome, there might be some worship music, then there might be some announcements, then there might be the actual sermon, and then there might be some takeaway announcements, some donations, and then of course maybe some songs to finish it out. All of those would be segments, right? And so as a church service isn't necessarily going to address questions depending on the type of service and stream that you're doing, but those would be segments as well. So those are just some different examples that I wanted to give. If you're doing a cooking show, you know how cooking goes, right? There's definitely going to be a lot of different types of things that you're going to do there. Okay, let me take care of a troll really fast. Had to take care of that one. Okay, so let's... Let me see. I saw some questions. Kamal is here, has a great question. So let me grab Kamal's question because okay. Some questions coming in that don't have anything to do with today's topic. If you have questions that are not related to answering questions while you're live, then go over to our Facebook group and ask those questions over there. Post your question, post your need, and I guarantee the community will jump in and help you out. If you have a support question, if you have a technical issue you're experiencing, then I want you to email support@streamyard.com. They will definitely be able to help you out over there as well. So, all right, Kamal says, on a follow-up to real-time answers, can we always start a stream with the topic example? I talk about PC config, so should I wait or answer on the go? Can we always start a stream? It's really up to you, to be totally honest with you. As far as your show flow goes, you can do whatever you want. I think it's great to start a stream, let people know what you're going to be talking about. If the topic is always the exact same, then I would say what you want to do is just do an introduction and then talk about, give your audience instructions about how to engage with you. But I do think it's always a good idea to introduce your stream, start your stream, and say what your stream is going to be about, what you're going to be doing on the live stream that day. Because also when somebody comes in and they discover a replay, it's letting them know what your video is about. So that's definitely a best practice, I think. However, you can totally do it however you want. Can we always start a stream with the topic example? I talk about PC config, so I should wait or answer on the go. I personally think so answering on the go versus answering in between segments kind of depends on your style as well as what the content is. So some content literally shouldn't be interrupted. If I'm out here doing demonstrations on ab workouts, I'm probably not going to get up and look at the computer and be addressing questions when I'm in the middle of a demonstration. I'm probably going to do the whole demonstration and then I'm going to come back and then I'm going to look for those questions that came in. So it kind of depends on what feels right. You might trying both methods and see what feels the best for you. That is actually a really good idea as well. So Good. So John Ho says, great suggestion for answering between segments. Fantastic. I'm glad that it's resonating with you, for sure. Okay, let me see. I want to make sure I don't have any other questions that I missed in regards to that so far, because I am actually trying to answer your questions as I go. There might be a few that I might grab and hold for later, but I definitely want to do that. Ooh, this is such a great comment. Such a great point. So Heroes World Online, such a great point. He says, I think it's a he. I'm not sure. Maybe it's not. Heroes World Online, they say, what about when someone sends you a super chat via YouTube, paid message? Should you try to answer it ASAP? Again, this is all going to be based on the way you stream and what you do. I 100% do believe that it's a really great idea to prioritize, is the way I'll say it, prioritize super chats. And so just so everybody understands what super chat wants to know here, or what super chat is when you're streaming to YouTube, people can actually pay, meaning it's almost like they're giving you a tip. Now your channel has to be monetized in order for your audience to be able to do super chats. And so what a super chat is essentially you put a money behind your comment. It's going to actually highlight differently. If someone, all the viewers that are watching on YouTube, when they see that comment, it's going to be highlighted in a different color. And in your studio, in your StreamYard studio, it is also going to be highlighted in a different color. This makes it very easy for you to see, oh, I just got a super chat. And so I do think it's best practice to prioritize addressing super chats. I think if you ignore super chats, that's like literally someone throwing money at you and you not saying thank you in a way. And so some of the reasons that people will do a super chat is sometimes it's because they want to, sometimes it's because they want to just say, thank you so much for all your help. I really appreciate you. Other times on other particular types of streams, it is about them trying to get their question prioritized. This is more common when it comes to, large channels that have lots of viewers, lots of comments coming in. If you want your question to get asked or answered, sometimes you have to put money behind it. That's more prevalent on large channels that have lots of viewers active, and that's one of those things. So, but a super chat is 100% one of those things that I do think you should highlight. However, when it comes to answering it ASAP, I don't necessarily think that you should interrupt yourself, right? Kind of like I was saying, like don't interrupt your segment or your key message that you're delivering in that moment. Get your key message out. You see the super chat come in as you're talking, then I'm going to be going to that super chat when I'm done. And then when it's over, when you're done with your key message, go directly to that super chat. I do think that you should go to it ASAP, but let's remember what ASAP means, because people forget. ASAP means as soon as, keyword, possible. Possible is the key word here. As soon as possible. ASAP often has become this thing of, it means right now. It does not mean right now. By definition, ASAP means as soon as possible. And so I think if you keep that in mind, Heroes World Online, I do think you should try to answer it ASAP. There you go. How's that? So I wanted to point that out because literally ASAP does not mean right now. It simply just means when you can. And I think that right as soon as you can is when you should do it. Sometimes, let's say, for example, let me back up for one sec here, because this is another thing to keep in mind. If you're going to answer questions not in the moment or not during your stream, because let's say, for example, you're multi-purposing your stream and it's a podcast and you are trying to reduce the editing, and so you don't want to actually address comments live in the main key content. First of all, you should let your audience know that. You should say, hey, we're recording a podcast today. We're super excited you're here watching us live. We're about to start recording the podcast episode. If you have questions or comments, bring them in. We will definitely get to those after we talk to so-and-so, which is going to take about 30 minutes. Hang here with us. We're going to definitely answer your questions when we're done. Now, I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but my point with this is back to as soon as possible. You're going to go through those key segments, but as soon as possible is after that podcast segment is done, right? So think of it that way too. Always have that strategy. Be intentional. That's a great point. Great question. Let me do. We got all kinds. Oh, Rochelle's here. Hello, Rochelle. She's joining us. Benjamin is here from Sydney, Australia. It's great to see you guys joining in. By the way, if you are joining us, we are talking about answering questions while you are live. And so if you have questions about today's topic, definitely post those in the comments with a Q in front of it. I will get to those as we're going. I'm trying to answer them as we're going today, but I also may get to some towards later. So there you go. Okay. And again, if you have anything that's unrelated to today's topic, go to our support, email support@streamyard.com, or definitely jump over into our Facebook group and answer or post your question over there. So Randy Newton says, I answer some during the show at the end. At the end, if I can't during the show, I answer them right after for sure. Yes, totally. All personal preference as well as your show flow and your show type from 100%. So Rodrigo, stop posting the same thing, please. I would love for you to email StreamYard. So email marketing@streamyard.com to get your question answered for sure. Okay, so let's see here. I'm going to go to our next element because the other thing that you can do, which some of you have already alluded to, is we talked about answering questions in real time. We've talked about answering questions in between segments, but you can also just wait to the end of your show. So very often, this is actually very popular for a lot of people, is that they may deliver content for about 20, 30 minutes. Maybe they have an interview, they have a guest on, and they hold all the questions for the end of the show. So they may say, hey, feel free to post your questions. We're definitely going to be getting to those at the end of the show. We'll be doing a live Q&A when we're done talking about all these fitness exercises. We're going to stick with the same example. So answering questions at the end of your show is a great strategy. However, here's the best practice. You definitely want to let your audience know that is what you're doing. Meaning, you need to keep telling them, hey, post your questions. We'll get to them when we're going to get to them at the end of the show. Keep saying that, because if you don't say that, they're going to sit there and be like, why aren't you answering my question? Why are you just talking? You're not even answering my question. I see this a lot. I actually see a lot of live streamers. I even have a really good friend, and she does it all the time. And I keep telling her, hey, this might be a different way to do it. I think she sort of just gets distracted. She gets into her content and just kind of completely, totally forgets about the audience. I think actually what it is she doesn't want to get distracted by the comments, and so she doesn't even look at them, which is fine. That's okay. But keep saying in the middle of your stuff, let your audience know what you're doing and what you're planning to do so that they don't feel ignored. So they know, I'm going to post this question and I'm going to stick around because I want to get my question answered and I want to hear the answer to my question, right? But if you don't say anything at all, they're just going to think you're ignoring them and they may just leave. In fact, they may leave and never come back. Right? So you don't want that to happen at all. So that's definitely one of the things that I definitely recommend, is that you just inform your audience what your plan is. Now, you can do this in the form of banners like I have down at the bottom. You can also do this, like I have the little ticker going down at the bottom. You can also just display a banner and let people know. You can also, in between each little key bullet point that you deliver, just do a little reset the room, let everybody know what you're talking about. Also let them know that you'll be answering questions at the end. So certainly different methods to letting your audience know what you're doing. Now, of course, answering questions at the end, 100% can be very doable if you have a very small live audience. So if you have a very small live audience, if you're just getting started, your channel's just getting started, you're still growing your channel, you're kind of new to all the processes, you may not have a ton of live comments. You may not have a lot of, noise, if you will, in your comment queue. However, if you have a lot of people watching, right? If you have a lot of people watching, the trolls are out today, keeping me busy over here. Then you're going to need to have a way to keep track of those questions. So you notice here, what I like to do is I say, put a Q in front of your question. I literally see Renee and Ralu's question right there in the queue. Hannity has a question I just saw pop up because there's a Q there. And now I see other people are commenting as well, but Jennifer's here. She's got a comment as well, but I'm looking for Qs right now. I'm looking for Qs, and I'm going to use the starred comments feature to put those into my queue. So the Qs are going into the queue. There you go. So anyway, my point is that the starred comments feature is what we're going to talk about next. I will show you how that works. But if you're going to answer questions at the end and you have a lot of people engaging with you, it can be a little bit tricky sometimes. It can be a little bit difficult to find those questions, especially if you're delivering content for a long time. Well, there's more and more comments coming in, more and more comments coming in. So if you wait to go find those questions after, which maybe that's what you need to do, just keep in mind, it could be a little challenging to find those questions and you might miss some. So there's 2 ways you can do it. You can tell your audience to hold their questions. If you want, you can say, hey, hold your questions to the end. We're going to get to it. And then when you're ready for live Q&A, say, okay, everybody, start posting your questions. Or actually, I would tell them to start posting their questions as you're wrapping up your key content. All right, everybody, start posting your questions now. We're going to be going into live Q&A here in just a couple minutes. Put a Q in front of your question. You could say that, and then when it's time for live Q&A, say, if you posted a question earlier in the stream, just repost it right now. We will definitely get to it. We'll get you an answer. So you can actually tell your audience to hold their questions until it's time for the end of the show, or you can be putting them into your queue using the starred comments feature. This is a great time and a great idea when you can actually have someone come in, maybe stay backstage, and do this for you, assist you with finding those questions and starring them and putting them into the queue. So that is definitely one of those things that I would recommend you do if you can. Not everybody has a friend that they can call or a producer or backstage producer that they can hire. And so one of those things, I would definitely recommend trying it. But if you don't have someone, you're going to need to do it yourself as you go with the stream. So let me pull up. I know I have a question here. There it is. Adding a video really quick to the studio here, because I'm going to show you how to use the starred comments, because I did see a couple people ask, hey, how do you do that? How do you actually use the comments for that? Now, keep in mind that one of the things I want to say here, so a brother of a certain age says, if you have more than one person for your channel, how do you give them access to start the live stream? So if you want to, everybody has one extra user seat for their StreamYard account, even free accounts. And what that is this is called Streamyard Teams. And so you can take your, the person that is also assisting you with your channel, you can send them an invitation to become a StreamYard teammate. If you want them to be able to start the stream, then you're going to need to give them admin access. So that is what you'll want to give them. If you just give them co-host access, then they aren't going to be able to actually start or stop your stream. I'm pretty sure. I always do this. Hold on. And if you want to know how to do it, there's actually I'm getting there. Hold on, everybody. I always forget the exact details of this. I gotta find it. Where is it? Oh my goodness. Help Center. There we are. So I'm in the StreamYard Help Center. Let's see, StreamYard Teams. And just confirming how this works. So if you go to this page right here, if you're watching on our Facebook page or our YouTube channel, you are going to see this link in the comments that I just posted. And it's going to tell you exactly, there's a video on how to do that. So if you want to know how to do it, then you want that. So this question is related to what I was just saying about having somebody give them access to your account so that they can help you backstage. So if we look right here, owner can do everything. The admin can pretty much do everything except manage your billing, delete a team, etc. But they pretty much have all the rights to your, they can create broadcasts, they can end broadcasts. A co-host really can only show comments and banners. They can add or remove speakers. They can essentially assist you with the actual stream production, but they cannot set up the stream. So for example, they can't create the banners, they can't upload overlays and whatnot. I know personally, I have totally sent in my recommendation that we need a 4th type of role, which is producer. And a producer would be able to essentially create and end a broadcast and do all these other things here. Not access the library, not be able to do these things, but essentially be able to literally produce the show. So I do think that would be great to be able to give that access to somebody. So those are your items, those are your options. But as I mentioned, here at the top, you've got a video on well, that's actually just the announcement video. There was a video somewhere. It's on our YouTube channel, I believe. I'll see if I can find it here in just a moment on actually how to do it. It's very easy. You go into your StreamYard account, you click on members, And you put their email address in, and it sends them an invitation, and voila, there they are. They're in your account, and they're ready to go. Renee and Ralu says, can you stop recording and keep answering questions after the stream, or will it all go away? So Renee and Ralu, here's what happens. When you're live, you're going to get live comments in your studio. When you end the broadcast, that live video is going to end. You are no longer going to be broadcast out. So you will not be able to, your audience won't be able to see or hear anything you do once you end the broadcast. However, people can still comment on the video replay in the comments section. You can absolutely answer those questions, but you have to do it in typed form. You won't still be recording anything. And so that is definitely a limitation. So when you're live, you have to be broadcasting in order for your audience to see and hear you. So I wanted to answer that question really quick. Okay, let me check in on everyone in the comments. Again, got a few comments coming in, not related to today's topic, which today we are talking about answering questions during your live stream. So if you have those questions that are not related to this, then what I want you to do is I want you to go over to our Facebook group, StreamYard. Just search StreamYard Community, and you will find the answers to or you will be able to post in that group and get some questions for you, or get some answers to your questions. I am reading comments while I'm talking. I do not recommend it. It's terrible. I'm like saying out loud what I'm reading here. So I'm just getting your questions put into my queue here. Yeah. So just to confirm back, so a brother of a certain age was asking about this. They have to be an admin. So there's 3 roles. There's owner, admin, and co-host. They actually have to be an admin or an owner to be able to start and stop a stream. So that's definitely part of that. Let's see here. Oops, let's see. I saw another question. I wanted to make sure I didn't miss it. Okay, so back to what we were just talking about. So It's Kashini said, would love to know your thoughts about having someone in the live chat to answer questions while you do your thing. Thank you in advance. So this is another method. So you can actually have people like moderators. A lot of times are very popular. So some of you are actually answering questions for each other in the chat. So your community may step in and actually help you and assist you with answering questions that come in. If that happens, you don't necessarily have to address those questions. If you have moderators, these are people that your community, your live audience, they know that they are a moderator. They know that they're part of your team. They can absolutely be answering those questions in the comments. That way people don't feel ignored. This is actually really popular and really present on YouTube. So if you watch YouTube live streams, in fact, moderators have the little wrench symbol next to their name if they're a moderator of your channel. So people actually can see that they are a moderator. The other thing that you can do if you're on YouTube for desktop, if your moderators are, then you can actually respond to people. You can type the @ sign, start typing their name, and it will actually address them. So you will actually literally be saying, I would say it's Kashini. Yes, you can definitely do that. I definitely think it's a great idea if you have a lot of comments coming in, and you also have moderators on your account that you feel comfortable answering questions for you. These are really great for example, hey, make sure, hey, we're not talking about that today, but you can definitely go over to the Facebook community. It's really just a matter of taking care. It's like a concierge service for those live comments coming in. But it certainly is a good suggestion, and I do recommend it if you can pull it off. Which is similar to DWIT 3D Canada. They say, if someone has asked a question and it was answered correctly by another audience member, should you still address or answer that question? If you're able to see that happened, sometimes it's hard for me to see it because I'm like scrolling coming through, and I will literally see the question before I see that everyone's answered it for them. But if I'm able to see that it was answered, I may say something like, hey, brother from a certain age, that was a great question. I see that everyone in the comments took care of you. Yes, basically all you have to do is use your StreamYard Teams and make them an admin, and they will be able to start and stop the stream for you. Here's back to the question though, DWIT 3D Canada. I do think that it's still a good idea to consider addressing the question and answering it, because not everyone if it's a question that you think is a really good question that's going to add value to your content in that live video, meaning you're like, ooh, I'm so glad they asked that question. I want to address it because everyone should be asking that question. Then you should absolutely address it, even if people chimed in and gave them their 2 cents and gave them a very valuable and valid 2 cents. I do think you should, because here's why. A lot of people are multitasking. They're just listening to your live video. They maybe aren't watching it. A lot of people don't even click on comments at all. Like, people literally many times will watch your live stream and never comment and never read any comments while you're live either. So if that person asks this question and you want everyone to hear your insights about it, you should definitely still consider addressing the question, even if the audience, your fellow audience members, took care of answering the question. So that's my feeling. That's how I feel about that. So yeah. Okay. So let me see. So Hannity had a question. This is a really good question. So this, I believe what Hannity is saying, it got cut off, it looks like. She says, we're planning the live stream for my daughter's 100,000 follower celebration. When her plaque comes in, awesome. I know that Hannity's told us this before, that her daughter was coming up with this milestone was coming. Would you recommend having a form for the community to fill out for their, I'm assuming questions is what you had there, Hannity. And maybe I missed the rest of that. But I definitely want to make sure we talk about this. This is another method you could do. I did not create a banner for this one. You can absolutely gather questions ahead of your live stream. So we did talk about how, when you schedule a live stream, especially if you're using StreamYard, it's going to create a post on the various channels. YouTube, it's going to show, hey, so-and-so is going to go live, Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern. It's going to show that on Facebook. People can start commenting on those posts. And you could even say in your description, start posting your comments or whatever. You need to look at those and be able to address them. You can absolutely also create a form where you want to gather questions ahead of time. In fact, a lot of people do this. My friend Laura Petrucci over at Live Streaming Pros absolutely does this. She actually has her moderators type questions into a Google form. They will also sometimes gather questions ahead of time. My friend Amy Porterfield, when she does her live streams to support, she does online courses. She creates online courses, and she has a Facebook group for the community, all the students going through the course during the 10 to 12 weeks. Every week she goes live and she does Q&A. Her team actually posts a Google form ahead of time, and they say, submit your questions here. This allows them to vet the questions ahead of time. Sometimes people get really wordy in their questions, and so the team will actually summarize the questions, especially because of what they're doing and what they're learning is a bit more in depth. Sometimes they have to be very specific. So Amy prefers to gather questions ahead of time. So they have a form, you submit your form, that's how it goes. The team takes those questions, they put them into a Google Doc that Amy pulls up while she's live, and she will go through all the questions. However, the other thing that happens is those live streams are timed, meaning she has them scheduled in her very busy schedule. She goes live 4 days a week for 30 minutes, we'll say. I don't know exactly what her plan is this year and how she's doing that, but we'll say it's 30 minutes. She only has 30 minutes. So she gets as many as she can and she answers them. If she has time, questions that get posted during the live, her team will actually copy it and add it to the Google Doc at the bottom in order so that then Amy can keep reading. And they're also going through, her team's also in this Google Doc at the same time. And when Amy finishes a question, they mark it out so that Amy knows. All she has to do is open it up. Next question is there in the queue for her. So that's definitely one of the things. It certainly is a method. When you have a large audience and a lot of people, this sometimes is what people prefer. Sometimes they say, hey, submit your questions ahead of time. I'm going to be going live answering all your questions. This is an example of you not answering live questions. So that is definitely a method. There is a time and a place for that style. It just depends on what your content's about, what you're doing, and of course, how you're doing it, right? So it's because Sheeny says, yes, Nick Nimmin has a forum where he gathers questions in there, then answers them when he is live, while he also answers questions from the live chat. So there you go. That is definitely everybody. There's a lot of different methods, a lot of different strategies out there when it comes to that. Okay, so I wanted to get one more point across. I still have some other questions Whoops, lost my place. I have a question from Rochelle, Heroes World Online. I see your question. I've got those in my queue. If you guys have more questions about today's topic, which is answering questions during your live stream, post them in the comments with a queue. The last thing I kind of wanted to cover and talk about today was, let me get back to my banners. I lost my place. Is what if you don't know the answer to a question? This happens. In fact, it happened to me earlier today. I didn't know the answer to a question. I also sometimes had to go look something up, right? So sometimes people are going to ask questions, and sometimes you aren't going to have the answer. It's okay to still address their question and simply say, man, I really wish I knew that. I don't know that. I'm not a specialist in that. Anyone in the comments, if you have anything to share to help, Saul, then definitely post in the comments so Saul can get, all the answers to your questions. Let him know what you think about this topic. I just did this yesterday on my own stream. There were like 3 things that came up, and I literally was like, I do not know the answer to that question. I wish I did, but I'm not a specialist in that area. And then I asked my audience to chime in, and a couple people gave great advice, great feedback for the person who asked the question. So here's what I say. Don't ignore the question. Don't ignore it just because you don't know the answer. You might just simply say, yeah, I don't know. Let me see if I can find out for you. You can actually look the answer up while you're live. Like I did earlier, I couldn't remember if a co-host could start or stop the stream. So I went in, I found the answer while we were live, and I was able to answer the question. So if it's something you feel comfortable being able to look up on the fly and answer, go for it. Go for it. It's great. Or if you have a team, if you have moderators or you have a team, like I mentioned, Amy, you may say, hey team, can you go look up that video and post in the comments for me? Boom. So you can also do that. So you don't have to feel all this pressure to talk your way around the question. It's completely okay and very authentic, and your audience is going to appreciate you for it if you actually are just honest and say, I wish I knew the answer to that question. So here's a couple of things you can do. You can follow up. So for example, if we're streaming into a Facebook group, if we're streaming to a page, you can absolutely take that question, take note of the question, take note of who asked the question, go figure out the answer, and then record a quick little video of yourself answering the question, or type a post up and post a follow-up. Go into that group and say, hey, so-and-so, you asked a really great question on yesterday's live. I found the answer for you. Here it is. Boom. That is going to create such great connection and trust with your audience. This is something that, just mentioning Amy Porterfield again, something that she does. In fact, sometimes she does that. Other times she hands it off to her team or her ambassadors, and they say, hey, these were questions that Amy couldn't answer or didn't get to. Can you go ahead and address them? And so sometimes the ambassadors will go in and say, hey, Ambassador Mel here, you asked this question and I wanted to get you an answer. So Amy will do this when certain questions come up that are not areas where she's like a deep dive expert. For example, live streaming. When I was an ambassador in her program, they handed all those questions off to me. So anything that was asked about live streaming, they handed off to me. I went into the group and I posted that question, or I posted, hey, you asked this great question about the best applications to use for live videos. Here's your options. And here's what my recommendation is. Boom. And so that's also an option that you can do depending on where you're live and how you're using your video in your strategy. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid if questions get asked that you don't know the answer to. So there you go. That's what I wanted to say. So it's just one of those things I definitely wanted to point out, because I know that anytime I talk about, especially answering questions in real time or doing live Q&A, some people are freaked out. They're like, well, what if they ask questions? I don't know. I don't want to look dumb or feel dumb. You don't have to. You don't feel all that pressure that you have to know how to do everything. Let me play this video really quick about how to start comments, and then I'm going to answer some more questions that I see that we have coming in, and then we'll get on with our day. So here's really quick how you use the start comments feature to put the questions in the queue like I'm doing right now. I have 2 questions at least in the queue at this moment, and I'm going to be looking at the rest of these as we go. So definitely. So here's a quick little video. It's a little tutorial. I don't think it has any sound to show you how to do it. All right. So here you go. Comments are out on the right. When you hover over a comment now, you're going to see a star. And when you click on that star, it's going to create a queue for your comments. So that is where those go. So we're putting some in the comments in the queue, and at the top, you'll see live, and then you see starred. And that's where your starred comments are. You can display the comment from there very easily. You can also undisplay it. Now it will remain starred until you uncheck the star. So if you want it to come out of the queue, you have to go back and click on the star to take it out of the queue. And that is how starred comments work. So super easy, as you can see, when you're getting those live comments come in, you hover over in the studio as you do when you're going to select it to display it, and you'll see that star out there. And click on that star, it's going to put it in the queue. It's that simple, that easy. So let's see. Remember, put a Q in front of those questions for me, and I will get to a few more. Farmer Brad, it's great to see you here today. He says, at my day job, we have a policy. Don't make stuff up. That's a pretty good policy. I think I really like that. So very, very, for sure. Good. It's Kashini. I didn't think of that. I would be scared and confused if I didn't know the answer. Thank you for covering that. You're welcome. It seriously is one of those things where you have to kind of think about that. Don't be afraid to say, I don't know the answer, for sure. I'm just reading your comments, checking out if we have any other questions here before I go into those. Okay, let me get to some of these questions. So Rochelle, she said, this is similar. When is the best time to do a free giveaway during your stream? Ooh, so it is similar. It depends on your show. It really depends on how you want to handle it. I definitely think that doing a giveaway towards the end is a great way to keep people on your stream and watching your stream. So, you definitely want to let them know you're going to be doing a giveaway at the end, keep teasing it throughout. That is going to create an incentive for people to stay with you live through your entire live video. However, you might want to do a giveaway throughout different segments of your show. So it's really up to you, and it is certainly up to the show flow of your choice, for sure. The show flow of your choice. I have never said that before. I kind of like it. I'm going to let that one marinate for a minute. All right, Heroes World Online says, when streaming a Q&A or live interaction type content, should you consider broadcasting to one platform only so all chatters are together? Okay. All right, this is a great point. I'm getting kind of hot in here today. Don't know why. Let me take off my sweater. I was cold earlier, and now I'm hot because I got worked up over today's topic, I guess. Okay, this is an interesting question. So this is all about strategy. This is all about your audience and how you want to take care of them. There are so many strategies here. So one strategy, we have talked about this on the show before, is when you are multi-streaming, if you want to drive traffic into a Facebook group, for example, one of the strategies is that you can deliver all your content and then you can say, all right, we're going to go into a special 30-minute live Q&A exclusive for the Facebook group. So if you want to get questions asked, go over to Facebook right now, get in the group, join the group. We are going to keep going live, but in the group only. If you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on the public page, we are going to end the stream now in these areas. Go to our group right now. We're going to continue the show for the after show live Q&A. You would then edit your destinations. You uncheck those destinations that you want to end the broadcast on. And as long as you keep the group on, you will remain live in your group. So that is a way to create exclusivity for your live Q&A. It also keeps all those questions in one place. When it comes to when you say keep all the chatters together, I don't really think it matters. I think it just goes back to what your strategy is and what you're trying to accomplish. Truly, truly, truly believe that that's the case. You have options with StreamYard when you are multi-streaming. Now, you have to be on our paid plans in order to multi-stream. So that's certainly a huge perk to upgrading from our free plan. Not only will you lose the watermark in the corner, and be able to customize your streams with overlays and videos and all kinds of things, you will also have the ability to multi-stream. So this creates the opportunity for you to deliver your content in all the places and then maybe do that Q&A in one place. So it kind of just depends on your preference, though, when it comes to what you're doing. That's kind of what I wanted to say there. So, okay, let me, okay, I see some fun comments coming in. I definitely am going to get to those for sure. So I see, got to give a shout out to the creative lady. What's going on, sister? Super excited that you're here. I love seeing you live with us. Always, always, always. She says, hello, everyone. I'm late. That's okay. Totally excused. No problem whatsoever. So, okay, let me answer. So DWIT 3D Canada has another question. Should you stop what you are doing / saying to address spam immediately or finish your thought first? Such a great question. And honestly, I sometimes struggle with this. There are times that I'll interrupt myself to address spam. And when you're in StreamYard, you can absolutely block that user right from inside the StreamYard studio. If you have moderators It's completely one of those things where if your moderators are paying attention and they are truly there, then they're going to take care of it for you. You don't need to worry about it. When it comes to spam, I do think that it depends on the kind of spam. If all of a sudden it's like boom, 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 and they are just like comment after comment after comment, I think it's okay to say, uh-oh, we got a spammer. Hold on, everybody. Going to take care of this really quick. Boom. I think it's okay. Again, the beauty of live video is it's raw and real, and that's what people, that it's okay. You're taking care of it and you're actually cleaning house. And so I think it is okay. And then it's okay to say, all right, where was I? What was I saying? Sorry about that, everyone. It's always annoying when that happens. It's also okay for you to just finish your thought, finish your comment, and then go in and address it. I think it just kind of comes down to how much of your thought do you have left, and is it going to distract you knowing that spam is there versus how distracted, how much spamming are they doing? If they're like boom, 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 comment, 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 you need to probably stop what you're doing and address it, because literally your audience is going to be like, what the heck? So it's kind of a preference thing when it comes to that. Great question though. Really good question. Freaking awesome says, when I'm moderating on a stream and there is trouble, would there be a problem with me sharing your link on the stream? When I'm moderating on sharing your link on the stream. I'm not sure I totally understand the question. There's trouble. Would there be a problem with me sharing your link on the stream? I think that what it comes down to, when it comes to sharing links in the comments, it's all about just your own personal policy when it comes to what your moderators should be doing. When you say there is trouble, is there a problem with sharing your link on the stream? I wish I knew maybe more specifically what you're referring to. Maybe rephrase your question. Freaking awesome. That might be something that if you could maybe rephrase that question. I'm not sure I totally understand it. So help me out there. Okay, let me jump up here to, I saw some questions or some comments that I wanted to get to real fast. I saw them. Where'd they go? Oh, Hannity said, love the new setup. Just noticing it. Haven't been able to catch it live lately. The kids and I took a much needed vacation. Well, that's fantastic. Vacation is awesome. I will tell you all, yes, I used to face this way before. And I had, if y'all remember, I had the big IKEA shelf, the big cubicle shelf. It was a much bigger version of that over here. And it just cluttered everything. I had lights everywhere and cables everywhere and cords and books and things, and it was driving me crazy. And so I really wanted to try something new. I like change. I like mixing things up. And so I actually did change it where I was facing that way. So if you look here, that wall right there, I'm sorry, I wasn't facing that way. I was facing this wall right here. My desk, actually everything was here, and everything over there was what was going on. Like you saw in the background, you saw my Peloton in the background, you saw the doors, you saw the stairwell, which is over here, which you can't really see in this view. Anyway, there were things I liked about it. There were things I didn't like about it. Ended up finally on a whim, I was like, I'm going back to the old view, the old setup. And here I am back in the old view. I did take this down. My desk is more flush. Still working on this behind me and what I want it to do and how I want it to be. It's always a work in progress. But I think it's fun that you noticed. For sure. I want to see if I had any other questions before we get out of here for today. Let's see. Well, I'm super glad that you thought it was helpful. Ask Your Computer Guy. It's great to see you here live as well. Let's see. I want to see if we had a follow-up to that question. Let's see. Okay, so again, I see a few questions, a few things in the comments here that are not necessarily about today's topic. So if you have questions or things or feedback, here's a couple ways you can get things handled. Make sure you're part of our Facebook community. So go over to Facebook and search for StreamYard Community and you'll find it. Anything you need, tips about camera quality, tips about angles, tips about, just strategies, all that stuff unrelated to today. First of all, search our YouTube because there's a whole channel of Ask StreamYard episodes. We are on episode 47. This is the second longest. No, it's not. It's the second longest weekly show. I'll say that. The second longest weekly show in the running that we've been doing. We're coming up on a year here soon where we have been live for the Ask StreamYard show weekly, every Wednesday. So there's a lot of episodes about a lot of topics. Also, you can post in our Facebook community anytime you need help or have a question. The community is going to kind of step in and help you out. And I might grab your question and feature it in an upcoming episode. And then, of course, if you have any issues or you need support or technical support, just email support@streamyard.com and they will help you out for sure. So Gary says, can the presenter/admin/moderator, that's a lot, presenter/admin/moderator, edit a viewer's comment? Example, remove a cue from a comment after it's answered and replace it. No, you cannot do that, actually. So you cannot edit anyone else's comment on any platform, like at all. So like you cannot, whether it's a live comment or a comment after the fact, you cannot edit someone else's comment. That is the only person that can edit a comment, and sometimes they can't, is the person who originally posted it. But that would be fun if you could basically take the cue away knowing, hey, you already answered it, right? So, but no, you can't do that, unfortunately. There you go. A little shout out for the Facebook group. Thanks, Heroes World Online, for sure. Okay, we've got a rephrased question here. Okay. If trouble persists about how streams are situated or guides to what is charged for how many peeps are allowed at once, I still don't understand that question. I think that if you're trying to get people to enroll in something and you're trying to share a link, you could definitely share the link. I think that's up to you and what you want to do, for sure. Let's see. Chris Gosling is doing a lot of editing. So you missed the start of the show. Honestly, Chris, maybe you had it scheduled. Maybe in your mind it was 12 because I went to go live and I legit was like 5 minutes before. And I was like, oh my gosh. It's scheduled for 12, not 11. So I literally had to like and get some things rearranged so that I could actually go live when I was supposed to. But Cricket Circle 07, this is a really great question, not related to today's topic. Subscriber alerts on StreamYard. How to add subscriber alerts on StreamYard. You can do this if you use, for example, OBS, and you have stream alerts set up in your OBS. And then when you go live with StreamYard, you actually turn on your OBS virtual camera. And when you go into your StreamYard studio, you select the OBS virtual camera as your webcam, and anything that happens over on OBS will be displayed in your stream. So you can configure stream alerts through Stream Elements and actually do it that way. That's one way to do it. I definitely think that's a fun thing to do for sure. Okay, let me see here. Good point here. So Jennifer Tislerix is chiming in. She says, if we edit our own comments, because we were talking about editing comments, after submitting it, it still shows up in the StreamYard studio with the original way, not the edited way. That is true because basically that is true. So if you edit a comment in the studio, it's kind of frozen in there in the studio. That is definitely true. Same thing if you change your profile picture. So if Jennifer were to change her profile picture right now, the original comments when she first posted with the other profile picture would still have the other profile picture. I have tested that before. It's kind of funny. Yes, I know, Jennifer. It's because I screwed up and I accidentally put it down for noon. I scheduled it for noon instead of 11, totally because I was on another computer that is on Central Time. That's what happened. Dang it. Okay, let's see. Okay. This is an interesting question. Is there a paid any way to test the live chat/comments to make sure all is working before going live? Rob, the Maritimer. So you can't. You can practice displaying a comment, starring a comment, and undisplaying it, because every time you go live, anytime you go into the studio, you're going to see that demo comment. It's just a little demo comment that's like, this is what a comment looks like. Click on it to display it. That's always going to be there. But as far as testing to make sure all is working before going live, you can't necessarily test the live comments. The only thing you can do if you wanted to, if you're trying, I'm not sure what you would be testing, to be honest with you. So, but you can you can absolutely go live like in a Facebook group, a practice Facebook group, and do some testing in there if you want. There's definitely ways that you can be testing stuff. You just have to kind of have some people to help you out to work with it, to do that testing. So interesting question, but one of those things. If you want to practice the whole question Q&A, that's one of those things you'd have to do. So, okay. Well, Canadian girl, I'm glad you thought it was helpful. Thanks for being here. Parker Jennings, good to see you joining us live as well. We are ready to wrap this up. So we are going to wrap it up. Now, I got to tell you something. Next week, the plan is to absolutely be live next week when it comes to 11 a.m. Eastern Wednesday. So we are going to be at Social Media Marketing World. So we're actually planning to live stream at the regular time, as long as all of our connections. We are actually taking gear with us, and we're also we're getting this like mobile hotspot basically, because internet and Wi-Fi is probably going to be a mess when we're there, because literally there's going to be thousands of people there using the Wi-Fi. So therefore, we're taking our own. If all goes correctly and everything's good to go, I will be live with you next Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern time. So be on the lookout, but we will be broadcasting live from Social Media Marketing World, and I will be taking your questions. I may just be asking questions around and taking questions live in the moment and answering your questions while I'm live as well. So definitely tune in for that next week. Super excited about it and to see you all there for sure for the next show. But that's all I got for today. That's what I got for today's show. We talked about answering questions while you're live. So if you're just joining us, go catch the replay. I gave all kinds of tips and methods of how you can answer those questions live, and a lot of best practices and a lot of things to consider. So definitely check it out. Y'all, I will see you next week from Social Media Marketing World in beautiful, sunny San Diego, California. See everybody. Have a great day. Right.